Tell us a wee bit about last year, lockdown. We're in our homes. We're told we can't go out anywhere. We were fed all this fear, everything. How did that impact you and a particular challenge that you had to face, and how you used all that grit and determination from other episodes in life to help you get through it?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit serious, but you're right about that bounce back ability and drawing on previous experience and strength that you develop each time you get back up, but also getting back up more quickly.
Yeah.
As you get older, I mean, I wrote a post on LinkedIn called Bouncing Back in 24 Hours. And I wish I had been able to do that sooner in my life. I wish I'd worried less and fretted less and sort of quickly got up and sort of picked myself up off the floor and sort of got on with things. So the reason I'm telling you that is because I had to do that in spades in 2020. So while, you talked about being in your home. I wasn't in my home in 2020. I was actually in a temporary accommodation because our home had been flooded, and it was for the second time in 3 years. So we'd already moved out once and lived elsewhere for a year. We moved back into our home, and then sadly it got flooded again, and so we had to move out again. So in 2020, when everything was happening, we were not even at home. We couldn't sort of close the front door and feel safe because we weren't at home. We were in rented accommodation. So that sort of cast a whole new light. If I can cope with living in somebody else's home while I'm dealing with this, right, that's an extra layer of resilience that I had to put on. And then lockdown came, but it was obscured for us because we found out that my eldest son, who was a fit and healthy young man in his early 30s, a GP, so, highly trained, working for the NHS, looking after people. He collapsed at the wheel of his car. He had a seizure at the wheel of his car. And it turned out that he had a brain tumor, an incurable brain tumor. So our 2020 was dealing with that situation. And of course, he had to go for first of all for a 7-hour operation for which he was awake for most of it. Then he had to have radiotherapy, then chemotherapy. So all of this was happening whilst the world was closing in on itself because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic. But again, it comes back to just having to deal with what life throws at you. Okay, so there was a massive curveball with the pandemic, and then we have this extra family curveball to deal with, and all we could do was pull together. That's all we could do. The only thing that was in our control was to pull together, and he came out of it. He has exhibited such strength of character. He ran a 5K on the day he finished his treatment. He was so positive. He was interviewed on the news, but because he was dealing with it so well, we had to look after him. And actually his medical team, I asked them, what can I do to help him? And they just said, be his family, be his support, because that's what he needs. And so while everything was happening around COVID and we were dealing with all of these difficulties, the resilience that we had to share as a family was just knitting together this strong, beautiful network of amazing human beings, 3 of whom I've given birth to, and their wives and children and so on. And we just all came together, and that's what we did. We formed our own network in order to deal with not just COVID, but COVID on top of a very, very difficult personal situation. So 2020 was the toughest year I think I've ever had to deal with, but still here.
As you're telling me your story, I'm just thinking, even today, it's maybe not quite as bad, but certainly last year when you had to go through what you did, there was no visiting. A lot of people couldn't get treatments. A lot of people haven't been diagnosed with diseases. They've got late diagnoses. They've got all sorts of things, and it's so topical on the news just now. The backlog of cases for the NHS is phenomenal. I'm sure I've heard this is going to take 5 years to catch up, which is frightening. So to be in your position and to go through that must have been like a living hell. How did you cope with that?
It was really hard, but I also want to say that, you know, one of the things that resilience gives you, and reflecting on your life and how you've dealt with setbacks and knockbacks, is it makes you, if you're a certain type of person, I'm sure you are the same, Brenda, it makes you more determined to actually make your life matter. So
Absolutely.
I did two big things last year. One is I focused on the book, right? The book was I've got to get to the end of the book. I've got to submit it. Actually, when I was writing the book, I got ill myself because I was pushing myself hard, ended up in hospital with a neurological condition. So I'm now deaf on my left side and my face dropped. I had a very rare condition and it's left me very, very tired. So I have to manage my energy carefully. But I also got involved in two groups, and they were women's empowerment groups. So one of them is called Equality Starts at Home. And this came out of an online conference I attended. So Equality Starts at Home has been set up by a group of 4 sisters, 4 co-founders. And we want to challenge inequalities in the home, because inequalities in society starts at home.
Exactly.
And that was one of the areas I put my energies into because I wanted to make a change. And the other one was I've got involved in a group in Greater Manchester as well, called Greater Manchester for Women. So I'm trying to use my energy creatively, but also to make a difference to people's lives. I want to take, and the resilience comes in because I was quite careful about what I decided to do when I came back from being ill myself and having seen my son being ill. So I'm now much more selective about what I do, because I have to be, because of my own invisible disabilities. But things like this, the resilient voices, you know, they're so important, because if we can show, Brenda, if we can show in this collection of stories that ordinary people like us, and we are ordinary people.
Absolutely. A wee lassie for Clydebank, you know. Yeah,
but if we can do it, so can everybody else.
Exactly.
Support network. So support networks are my big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you know, for me, stories important, and that's how I bring people together. And stories bind us, and stories create so much. And it's what we do with those stories, and just finding the voice and sharing it, you know, makes a significant difference. So, oh my goodness, Jackie, I have been on a roller coaster listening to you in the last 10 minutes. I think we might have even ran over, but who cares? It was so important to hear your voice. And so tell us, what's your lasting words of inspiration and wisdom that you would like to leave for the audience?
I think, and this came to me from I don't know where, but I think it's wear resilience like a cloak.
Oh.
And I say that because that's how I think of it. I think you have to cover yourself in a membrane, which in my case is resilience, because the world will continue to lob things at you. It will never be steady state. And I think if you can wear resilience like a cloak, it will help you get through whatever comes your way.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving up your precious time today to be our newfound hero. And can't wait to have the book out, share all these amazing stories from the newfound heroes, and actually give back to NHS, because the money from the sales of the book will be going to the NHS, and more on that to come as we get closer to the 5th of July. On the NHS 73rd birthday. So Jackie, thank you very much, as I say. So everybody, remember, be brilliant. Much love, and until next time, to the pip.